Welkom bij een nieuwe aflevering van de Data Discovery Channel. And I switch to English because our next guest is Paul Andrew. Paul, welcome.
Hello.
It's an honor to have you in the show.
Thank you.
You're an MVP and you are specialized in real-time data solutions.
Well, I mean, my career in data is probably about 20 years old now, so yeah, I'm not sure I specialize in anything anymore. That breadth of knowledge versus that depth of knowledge that you have to have like on a daily basis, it's just ever expanding, right? But yeah, the topic that I'm speaking about at this conference is real-time data, building solutions in both Azure and in Fabric. So, yeah, not sure I'm a specialist, but that's what we're doing today.
If you look at real-time data, a lot of solutions that we encounter at our customers are batch-oriented.
Yeah.
Why, if a company is still very much batch-oriented, what would be reasons why they could switch to real-time data processing?
Maybe just simply they want the data faster. They want to stay ahead of the competition. I mean, I've worked with lots of different industries and they all have a different perspective on how quickly they need that data and what real time actually means. Yeah. So in a retail setting, a 5-minute lag on that data is probably enough. But then, in an investment bank, then they want sub-millisecond, crazy amounts of speed to get that data. So I think I'm a consultant, so the answer is always it depends.
It depends.
But, yeah.
We know.
It depends on their use cases and depends on their demand. And I think as well, given the cost of some of the technologies that you have to deploy to get that data faster, they might not want to pay for it as well. So maybe an hour, a daily batch, a weekly batch, maybe is good enough for their use case. But yeah, in some cases, they might just want it faster. Just to be faster.
And from a technical perspective, could there also be a reason why you start, even if the business is not needing real-time data, could there be technical reasons why you say, well, we start processing it in real time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if they've got a lot of on-premises infrastructure or, the security is very tight, then that might limit some of their technology choices that they use to build out a real-time solution. Some of it can come down to just the amount of time it actually takes to use a public cloud resource like an Azure Event Hub or in Fabric, an event stream item. Just that time it actually takes to transmit that data could also be a factor if they need it faster or maybe they need to keep things local within their data boundary of a particular region as well. It's another it depends answer, right? So many factors here that could affect it.
And when you move from a batch-oriented architecture to more something that supports real time, what kind of issues do people usually run into?
Yeah, great question. I think the kind of the way that I view it is that when you've got a batch of data, that data, of course, is copied, it's landed, it doesn't change. Your query changes to do what you want with that data that's static. In that more real-time scenario, your query becomes static and the data is always moving. So, that flow, that stream of data differs, which means that because the data is always moving, you don't have the luxury of changing your query all the time, or the latency can then become a problem. Schema of that data changing, like in a batch scenario as well, of course, but in more of an event-based real-time setting, that JSON file, that payload, it's a semi-structured format already. Mm-hmm. So it may alter. The throughput of that data can then become a challenge as well. Having that data arriving in the right order. So, all the messages are sequential because then that might affect the referential integrity. So obviously all these things then become more important because the data is just always flowing and you don't necessarily have time to react to it in the same way that you might do with a batch of data that is just fixed.
That's why you just said it's more expensive to have a real-time solution.
Potentially, yeah. The cost of the human time and the cost of the infrastructure to that compute is always running to always process that data with whatever tools you choose to use as well,
Talking about tools, there's a lot of features in Fabric that are real-time related, real-time intelligence, KQL databases, those kind of things, event streams.
Yeah. I mean, they are, but for me, Fabric is just an abstraction over those tools that we already had and used in Azure for a long time.
Yeah.
So in Azure, we have our Azure Event Hub and we have Azure Stream Analytics. Those two are now just combined in Fabric into what they call an event stream. So it is just an abstraction of those two platforms as service resources. Microsoft bring them into Fabric, bit of abstraction, bit of polish on top of it, a bit of a nicer UI, and then it's software as a service. It's not platform as a service anymore. So yeah, I think that it's the same tooling. The Event House is just the same as what we had in Azure Data Explorer before that as well. So yeah, the problem hasn't changed. The technical capabilities that we use haven't changed really. It's just packaged up with slightly different things within that public cloud environment.
But doesn't it also make it easier to use them? Not really.
Yeah, I think if you're a newcomer, you look at Fabric and you use an event stream for the first time, I think it probably makes it easy because it's obvious, it's intuitive. Everything is there, unified and click. It's nice. For me, I don't find it easier because I've of course already been exposed to the other tools.
Yeah.
And then I'm now just dealing with frustration because of the abstraction rather than it actually being easier to do what I need to do. But in some cases, but as a data engineer at heart, I want to be able to do all of the configuration. I want to be exposed to all of the complexity.
You want to have that level of control.
I'm a control freak, definitely. So I want all of that control that you just don't get in Fabric because of the abstraction that's there. So I can see both sides.
But if you're going to build a new solution, then chances are that you are looking at Fabric.
Yeah.
You have to deal with the capabilities there then.
Yeah.
How do you see that moving forward?
In Fabric, for a new solution as things evolve.
It's constantly evolving.
It's constantly evolving. Yeah. I mean, this is the other part of it, right? That we talk about Fabric being easy. But because Microsoft is obviously releasing updates to it constantly as well, keeping up with the changes then becomes a job on its own almost. Yeah. So it's interesting problem.
Talking about problems and complications, what about security, governance, compliance? Isn't that more difficult with streaming data?
Probably no more difficult than batch data is because you've still got to secure it with the same types of authentication. You've still got to establish your network boundary, and a lot of the resources support all of those different layers now. So no, I'd probably say batch versus streaming. I suppose the security around the source of the data in a real-time setting is probably where differs slightly, because if your data source is a device, you need to secure that device when it's transmitting that data, maybe over a public connection because it's remote somewhere. Maybe security over the source is more of a concern rather than the actual data handling in the resource itself once that data's already landed. So with the Azure IoT Hub, you do device level authentication. So if a device is compromised, of course, you can
revoke that.
You can revoke it. But with an Azure Event Hub, the security is slightly different. So it's done at a namespace and then like a hub level. So you don't necessarily have the same controls over a device that might be compromised in that sense. So it's more protecting those things outside of your normal control and your normal network, perhaps. But from a source perspective.
Yeah. Do you expect big changes to happen in the next years? Will we have more streaming data, or?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, as the big data kind of theory and concepts grow, right? The volume, the velocity, the variety of that data. I think all those things are still increasing. big data, it's very relative. It's always big today. It'll always be big tomorrow because it's always growing.
Yeah.
And I did some work with a customer recently. They had a set of pipelines that was doing 15-minute batches.
Micro batches, basically.
Yeah,
mini batches.
And I thought, this was a good solution, but they were like, no, we now need it even faster. It now needs to be less than 5 minutes. So, of course, that changes all the tooling and the problem.
Yeah.
The output for the business still stays the same in terms of the reports and the dashboards. They just wanted it faster.
Yeah, the same information, but on a higher frequency.
Yeah, and you find that a lot, that what might be a weekly or a daily process today, the business then decides that it just needs it even quicker tomorrow. So, there's always a demand for more, right?
Yeah.
More reports, more dashboards, faster.
More and faster.
Yeah.
Okay.
Always more.
Always more. Always good talking to you about real-time data. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Have a great day here
Thanks
at
a
the
lot.
conference.
Will do.
Voor jullie thuis, dankjewel voor het kijken. Ik hoop dat het een interessante aflevering was. Dat zo was, doe even een duimpje omhoog en subscribe je op het kanaal als je dat nog niet gedaan hebt. En tot de volgende aflevering.